Oh, you're good.
All right, everyone. It's Friday, and you know what that means? It's time for Stop Being the Best Kept Secret. I'm one of your co-hosts, Damon Pistolka, and we're going to be talking today about B2B industrial digital strategy frameworks. Oh, man, Kurt, am I excited? And I'm going to turn it over. And I got to remember, I got to go this way. My friend, co-host, Kurt Anderson.
Thanks, Damon. Happy Friday, dude. Man, what an honor. What a privilege. Not necessarily a repeat offender, if you will, but we have a repeat company here with our friends in great state of Ohio. But Josh is a digital marketing rock star coming to us from the great state of Texas. Josh, how are you, dude?
I'm good, man. Thank you for the intro. And yes, I'll be less of an offender than the last guy on here from OuterBox.
That's right. So, all right, we got a ton to cover, lots to unpack. We're going to go fast and furious today. Before we go there, Josh, my dear friend, so you're a Texas guy through and through. Right. My first question for you, when you're a little guy growing up, who was your hero?
Troy Aikman.
Troy Aikman. You're an eye on that one, right?
That's right. I used to, unfortunately, I'm a Cowboys fan. And unfortunately, I was born right into the early 90s when the Cowboys ruled. And I thought, what a great life I've just embarked on. And then ever since, I've been disappointed. And so now I'm nearly 40. And, it's been a miserable existence there. So I used to go to the Troy Aikman and wear the jersey. And I was him for Halloween multiple times. My hero.
That's Troy awesome. Aikman, man, great answer. David, who was your hero when you were? Did you have you were in a Viking? Who's your team? Chiefs?
I was more of a baseball guy. You know,
you're out baseball. Yeah.
I'm a baseball guy. Yeah.
All right. So Troy, what a great. We haven't had that one, Josh. We've asked that question hundreds of times. We in Troy Aikman. That was the first time. Great answer. So let's go here. So you, Texas Tech, if I'm not mistaken. Are you Texas Tech guy by chance?
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's also been a tough row to hold, but it's gotten better recently.
On the record, we talked about this. I'm on the record. How far are they going this year?
Oh, come on, man. We're spending the money. We have the expectations. Yeah,
show me the money.
We got to the big stage this year, which was an amazing improvement, but then we got totally embarrassed by Oregon. So then it was that philosophical question: is it better to make it and be embarrassed, or is it better to not make it at all? But hopefully, we're changing that as we continue to spend the millions on that team.
Baby steps on the bus, man. So I absolutely love it, and I'm on the record here. I'm going on the record. I'm predicting Texas Tech Final Four. How's that? I'm going Final Four for Texas Tech. Go. So they had a killer recruiting class coming in this year. Right, so it's legit. So Josh, let's go here. So Troy Aikman's your hero. You go to Texas Tech. How did you get into like this whole world of digital marketing? I believe you might have even been an intern at Texas Tech. Now, guys, as you're popping in here, do yourself a favor, connect with Josh on LinkedIn. His company puts out enormous, wonderful content helping you on your digital marketing strategy. Josh, what brought you your talents, your skill set, your God-given talents into digital marketing?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah. So like you said, I'm from Dallas originally. I go out to Texas Tech. I got a degree in public relations and a business minor. And so through my time there, I interned at different departments at Tech, was in the athletics department, and then more globally, kind of the admissions recruiting side of things, running social media, creating content. I used to, Man vs. Food was one of those shows I used to watch where the guy would go eat, there we go, big pizzas and stuff like that. So when I was a senior and I was in the admissions department, I was like, we got to make Lubbock look cool. And so I would go to different restaurants and convince them to make like the biggest taco they could make or the biggest calzone they could make. And then I try to eat it, put it on YouTube, which was like fairly new at the time.
Yeah.
So that went well. And I was like, man, I really enjoy marketing. I knew that was something I have passion for and that kind of creative outlet. So then when it came time to graduate, I was getting married. And so I was looking for a job. I had done an interned at Southwest Airlines, thought that's where I'd go. The job market when I was leaving was really tough. And timing was either like find something or move back home. And I didn't want to do that. So via that admissions role, Tech runs regional offices. So they have regional recruiting offices at Dallas, San Antonio, Austin, and Houston. I'd never been to Houston, only through it, even being raised in Dallas. And so I thought I want to get to a big market because big market will have opportunity. And so that's what I did. Took that role in Houston, did that for a year and was networking the whole time I was there, trying to find what was next. I wanted to get to an agency because I wanted mass exposure. I wanted to see as many businesses as I could. And the game plan originally was do that for a couple of years, fall in love with one, or hopefully one would fall in love with me and pick me off and recruit me. Yeah. And then 13 years later, I'm still at the agency enjoying it and have loved it ever since. The pace of it, the diversity of it, and what a time to be in tech. And so that's really kind of how I got here.
Well, good for you, man. That's super exciting. So you've had a couple of transitions. Let's talk about your role, going into Top Spot, and then we're going to slide into OuterBox, but just kind of like how you've graduated and where you're at today.
Yeah. So, when I originally joined the agency, we were called Top Spot, you said, and I joined as an SEO specialist. And this would have been like 2012-ish, 2013. And I remember Googling, is SEO like a good career? Like, I didn't know. I was like, I don't even know. We didn't learn about that when I was in school. It's in curriculum now. At the time, that wasn't something that was taught in advertising and marketing classes, really. So I was like, all right. So, I was convinced enough that it looked like a good opportunity. Joined as an SEO specialist, and really, back then it was about writing and creative and content, and so it really kind of married. My dad was he's a computer engineer. So I had done computer classes, computer software engineering classes. So I kind of loved tech. I could code a little bit. I loved content and PR and marketing. And so it really actually became this like perfect Venn diagram that I could sit in. So I was helping publish, change websites, make them faster, write better content, expand. And then through that, progressed throughout the company. So we had a team model, became a team lead, ran a book of business for a while. Then eventually I moved up to a client strategies manager. So I helped all of our different teams with strategy, positioning, and client communication and relationships. Eventually moved over into business development. So did that for, 7 years. And then now we're actually part of a larger group. So we joined OuterBox and a few other different agencies for expansion, both in vertical and then capabilities. So as we've grown, when I was originally at TopSpot, we were mostly doing analytics, SEO, paid search. And that was kind of the big three. Now with the collective group, we're offering, email personalization and automation. We're into more high fidelity kind of UX offering and A/B testing right now, which is an incredible time, is AI. We have products that we're developing in AI, and then we're also having AI as a service, which is really helping businesses create agents and workflows and train their teams and help them kind of level up. That's a huge challenge right now. Is everyone knows they have to be experimenting with AI. They have to start integrating it and running pilots and getting serious, but it's a very disjointed kind of experience. You've got some super users on teams and people that have never logged in. So businesses are really struggling. Like, how do I kind of congruently like raise the level of my organization, and how do I do it safely? So that's a huge topic and need right now that we're supporting different organizations with. And so now I'm helping run that biz dev team and then help with product strategy and fit.
Awesome. So, okay. So you kind of laid out a little bit of the menu on OuterBox. And again, if you're just joining us, we're here with our dear friend, Josh. OuterBox is a powerhouse digital marketing company, really targeting industrial companies, B2B. So you gave us like a little sliver. Question that we'd love to ask is, how do you and your incredible team at OuterBox make the world a better place?
Yeah. So it's what I love and really why, in particular, a majority of our client base are SMBs. Small to medium businesses. And like, to me, the mission of helping small to medium businesses in this country is important. Philosophically, it's important. To the economy, to well-being. I mean, business is such a fun challenge, but it is a means for life. We got to spend our time doing something. And so a great business can enrich their customers and their employees simultaneously. And so the most meaningful work we do is when we talk to business owners. We talk to these groups that have ambitions to grow. Maybe they're chasing headwinds in the economy. They got to diversify. And so when we come in and if we do our job, we have good discovery and we really figure out what is the need, what can we do strategically, how can it be different than what they're doing, and we help them implement it, we've seen businesses turn around, grow, expand, hire. And I mean, that bar none makes the world a better place. It's really powerful work, and it's marketing done right.
Great mission, super admirable. Damon, what are your thoughts so far?
Yeah, just thinking about that, the amount of change that we're seeing, both in the last decade, in your case, and then the last few years, it really is a changing environment. What are some of the things you talked a little bit about AI, but just what are some of the things from an SEO standpoint, and then moving that into the AI, because SEO has changed an awful lot, even in it's what we have to do now. But just what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it has changed an immense amount, and I think for the better. So I'll be the first to tell you, as an SEO specialist, like, I can hate this industry. I mean, there's parts of SEO that's just like grotesque, oversimplified, manipulative tactics that candidly made the internet a worse place. And so it's matured, which I like, because it means that like authentic expertise wins better than ever, which was always Google's goal. They kind of built the search engine. I mean, originally it was about keyword density. Who can just say the keyword the most times? And then you had people that would put in the footer the keyword 1 million times, but make it white on white so no one could see it. Or they forget that, bots just look at code, so they see it immediately and they can tell what's happening. So it's gone from this kind of like probably more rudimentary strategies on keyword density and over permeation of like, page counts and things like that, to a more nuanced, sophisticated view, complementary semantic keywords and other things. It's contextualized now. So I love that. So it has changed because more mature content that's first person and originally sourced performs better. That has changed too with the introduction of AI. And, it's important when you think about AI, because it's in every conversation these days, and it is incredibly important. You have to be paying attention to it, not only from a customer journey and acquisition standpoint, but also an operational standpoint, which we could talk about as well, on agents and integrations and things. But it's still a 10-to-1, roughly, on monthly users, on, who's using LLMs versus traditional search. So it's not a zero-sum game. So it's not like every AI user is taking from search. So they're actually both rising. What it means here is that, in search, you may track 3 to 4 keyword phrases, 3 to 4 words in them, that kind of thing, for long tail or more specific. LLM conversations are hyper personalized and really deep. You're talking about multiple conversation points with paragraphs and sentences of context and things that users are going for. So the level of precision is going further, and we're seeing that in the data. We're seeing shorter lead cycles when coming from AI, because the user's doing more of their research before reaching out. And I think that's the big takeaway. There was a Gartner study from a few years ago that talked about that by the time you hear from somebody, especially in B2B, phone call or form submission, that they're already over halfway through their decision to buy from you. They're 57% of the way through the customer journey by the time you hear from them. And that's because they do their own research on your site, competitors' website, et cetera. And if you don't meet their perceived standard, they don't call you to clarify. They just hit the backspace. So fair or not fair, the majority of the battles won or lost before you hear from them. AI is making that exponentially more so the case, because now they can have very thorough recommendations, conversations, and so forth, especially in engineering fields, about metallurgy and other challenges in the business that AI is being prescriptive with. And you've got to be present in those conversations, because now they're collaborating and taking conversations they used to have with your team that was more on the consultative side. They're doing that with AI. And so that's a really big shift.
It is. And as you see how Google has changed that too. I mean, like you said, it's still 90-10 with the AI compared to what traditional search is. But Google is getting, because of AI, Google is getting a lot smarter on, you just can't put 100 pages up on your website and different topic and just expect it to rank anymore, because they just simply won't index it if it's not good enough content.
That's right. That's right. And we see a lot of that, where you'll see these huge swaths of a website and it's in Google Search Console and they're just straight up not indexing it, because they're like, it's not value, it's not worth it. And they're being inundated. Like, if you look at the amount of AI content, I read something the other day, it exceeds now human written content. Imagine being a search engine that has to consume that noise and make heads or tails of it. And they'll just straight up go on the side of ignoring huge areas of your website if it's not good enough.
And that's, it's given. On the other side of that, though, from a user interaction though, you're getting better information, because if your content isn't good enough, it's not getting indexed and won't be shown on Google. So we don't get those garbage sites coming up nearly as much as we used to.
That's right. And that's fundamental to that change we were talking about at the beginning, where it's more mature now, which is a win for everybody.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys, again, if you're just joining us, we're here with our buddy Josh from OuterBox. Josh, what about paid ads? So for our friends that are doing paid search on Google, that's had a huge impact with, geography, from the landscape of, search. Like, so for people that were like crushing it and paid years ago, now it's completely changed. What conversations, what are you talking about with folks there?
Yeah, so paid, continues to be a very important channel for a lot of our clients. And if you have pulled up a search result recently, and really pay attention to what you're seeing, there's many landscapes that are important to our clients or search result pages where the whole top 2/3 are paid real estate, followed by an AI overview. So you'll actually look at some of these where like the first organic result or rank position 1 isn't until half to 2/3 down the page.
Yeah.
So in some ways, it's kind of a funny spot that Google and these giants are in, where they have to almost work against their own self-interest in times with these AI overviews that are coming in that are disrupting and taking up real estate.
Yeah.
But they have to, in response to user expectations and what LLMs and AI are giving people. But paid still works. And you'll notice, over time, they've gone from these yellow boxes that were really kind of differentiated to now they're almost indistinguishable.
Yeah.
And I see people, I was on a call not too long ago where someone was telling me they don't click on ads, and they were sharing their screen. They searched something, clicked on an ad right in front of them.
Right.
Like, they don't even know.
Right.
And so, in so many ways, it's still extremely valuable. You only pay when people click. So in some ways, it only is used when working. It is simulated organic results. So we don't see a difference in intent between people that click on the ads versus the organic. I mean, if the phraseology is right and the intent is right, it's the same intention the person has. They're not less sophisticated. And so we use it as a very important tool for a few reasons. Both fastest way to find audiences and diversify and test and measure, because organic is a long journey. So you can actually go ahead with paid and kind of, is this valuable? Is this worth pursuing? Can I measure it? So that's one. And then two, if you're talking about maybe in this context, B2B, these longer consideration cycles, the remarketing aspects and other things that paid media can give you are really important for staying top of mind in brand and other things. So, we've seen where it is, is just as important as ever in your media mix to have some paid in there, whether it's branding, remarketing, testing and measuring different places in the search landscape. And then, I think as always, you've got to be just kind of careful and be your own advocate, or work with an agency that can help be an advocate for you on all the new bells and whistles that these search engines continue to roll out. There's a lot of them that look really good on paper, but can really hurt performance. And I think that comes down to a lot of times that these platforms struggle to have a quality layer. So they're chasing automation's the big trend. How can you hook up automation? How can you leverage the AI within these platforms to do bid optimization, all sorts of things? It all matters though on how good the data is that you're putting into those systems. So what we see all the time is people work, say with maybe it's just a rep or something like that, and they track everything on their site as a conversion. Maybe it's time on site, maybe it's number of pages viewed, other things like that are superficial, could be good data, but then they're now putting automation on top of that. And so they're training a system that's rewarding things that aren't connected to business impact. And so those are risks that I would say are in the new age of automation and AI that are coming into these systems, that if you're not careful, you can use them incorrectly and really tank performance, or they can provide really good avenues to scale now.
Man, I tell you, dude, this is a masterclass. This is pure gold. I want to take a step backwards, and then you've got some information. We've got a few charts and some little information that you want to share with folks. So for this, we speak to a lot of small manufacturers, maybe mom and pop, 10, 20, 30 employees, that type of thing. And maybe they just feel a little bit behind the curve, and they're like, gosh, we've got great machinery, put out great product. We've got amazing people, but we feel like the best kept secret. What's a tip or strategy that you would share? They're just kind of starting out their digital marketing journey, if you will. How do you help those folks stop being the best kept secret? What's like a first step for these people?
Yeah. So, it depends really on kind of, again, the business and where it's at in its life cycle, but that's really kind of going back to paid. So, the first thing you've got to have obviously is a good website, worth receiving traffic. Now, super subjective in some ways. There are definitely best practices that you would want to adhere to. But you want to make sure you've got a website worth receiving traffic. So what you don't want is a $40 website that puts a terrible brand impression, and then you go spend a couple $1,000 putting traffic to it. You got to get that order right. But there's a diminishing return on, say, starting with just like a long SEO strategy.
Yeah.
So it depends. If it's a brand new business, that's where paid absolutely, because the hardest part of marketing is getting the timing right. And that's where search is still really powerful, because if someone's searching, they're in market. The user is on offense trying to solve a problem and seeking. The timing's right because they're searching. So if you use ads correctly, you can find in-market buyers, send them to your website. If you have enough credibility, you can get your phone to ring. So that's kind of bar none. The other place that I think is not looked at enough, and it depends again on the life cycle of that business and how, if they've been around a while but they still feel like they're a secret, email. Email is such an important category, not buying lists, but if you've been around for a while, people often neglect that owned audience. So we see a lot of people that can run really good win-back campaigns, cross-sell campaigns. We've been doing this a while. I've had clients that we've worked with for years that are like, oh, I didn't realize you built websites. And you're like, oh man, what a failure. So it's like, those are opportunities where you may have clients, you're like, man, I got to grow. And you're like, well, how many of your clients are doing and taking advantage of all the things that you could be offering? And sometimes email is a really easy place to kind of just turn to the group that already trusts you, that allows you into their inbox, and to drip them and work them and grow them. Lifetime value is big, especially in B2B. A lot of that is left on the table. So it's like, instead of investing for new, because that's when they're the most expensive, sometimes I should look inward, mature that a little bit, and find some revenue and growth.
Right. Excellent tips, sir.
That's great advice.
Yeah. So website, making sure you make that good first impression.
Right.
Secondly, talking, hey, get back down to the basics, right? Blocking and tackling. Let's potentially email. And of course, you mentioned paid. Josh, let's go into, you've got a few things to share. Damon, we want to pop that up for Josh?
Yeah, here we go. So what were you seeing here, Josh?
Awesome. Yeah. So, this is a platform that we've actually developed called Loop Analytics. And, the point of showing this is not necessarily to overemphasize Loop itself, but to talk about the challenges that B2B organizations have in marketing and some of the things that you can be doing today that we see the best in class are starting to leverage. So Loop Analytics here, again, is a platform that we've built and own. And the point of it is, it's really a customer journey and attribution tool that looks at lead quality. So lead quality has always been the hallmark of B2B, marketing and strategy, and you see on here, this 99 leads. Well, you and I both don't know if 99 is good or bad. So we know who they were, what were they asking for, and could we help them? And I've actually seen, and we have case studies on it, where, it could have been 105 or 120 last month. It's down to 99. And it's the best thing that ever happened to that business.
Yeah.
And it's because it's all that matters is the quality. And too many campaigns and agencies are sitting there just trying to promote clicks and impressions. And that's how they get paid. And that's what they want to show charts that do that. But it's never satisfying to the business, and actually limits you in a lot of ways. So this tool here was built to help solve some of that. There are other tools out there like HubSpot and others that you can configure to do some of this. But Loop Analytics, what we're looking at here, bunch of different channels you can track and get attribution, especially in B2B. It's not single channel people. So almost anything you do is going to connect users to multiple channels. So that's kind of one thing to think about as a business is, you're spending money in paid. Paid alone is not going to close those opportunities for you. These are often team buying decisions. It can give you original awareness, but then they come to the website, then they're going to open social later. Then they're going to Google something else later. Then they're going to ask their ChatGPT about something. So you really, depending on your level of maturity and what you have in place, need to think about, how do these channels pick up off of each other? And we measure that all the time here in Loop. And I can show some examples. And then if you come down here, I'll show the last, say, 3 months. You're looking at the leads. We see down here, this is some of the data that we'll track of different users that are coming in. So we can actually see who the individuals are, what were they requesting, and then we can see the attribution that's coming from them. So whether it's Thomas sending them Bing ads, Google ads, and then you can see, what were the keywords that were being attributed to these users. And when you come in, you're able to actually then see, what did they do on the website itself? So what is influencing a good opportunity? And so you can see this person came in originally on February 25th, a comes back on the 31st, and then contacts the business. So painting those stories is really important. And then looking at ways to measure what were the qualitative aspects of what good looks like. So for years, our team would go through the forms and try to read them and flag the best looking ones and say, hey, client, did we talk to this person, Sarah, Sue, Robert, etc.? What was that conversation like? And try to get feedback. That qualitative analysis can now be scaled out really well to AI.
Mm-hmm.
So AI can do quality analysis at scale, which is really a kind of a revolution in opportunity for this kind of work for most organizations. So again, whether you are already a ChatGPT organization, you've got access to these, however it is that you collect lead data, one of the recommendations I have for you is go ahead and pull, 3 months of those forms out and upload it to one of your agents and ask it to analyze those submissions for trends. So for a lot of businesses, this data lives siloed in CRMs. So each record is kind of an individual place you got to go look. So it's really hard to amass patterns. So we do a lot of our best work looking at lead quality like this and picking up on the little details in the comments. So as an example, there's a chiller manufacturer that we work with, and chillers go into all sorts of applications, plastic manufacturing, you kind of name it. Most things have a chilling process somewhere in there. We're looking at leads with them, and we see some comments talking about breweries. Hey, I'm coming from a brewery, blah, blah, blah. So we flag it. Otherwise, that fly under the radar. We bring it up in a conversation. Hey, this one was talking about a brewery application. Is that a fit for y'all? Do y'all even chase that business? And they go, well, yeah, actually, that's a great fit. Glycol chilling is perfect. And all these little microbreweries all over use chillers like we sell. We actually have clients in that. We say, cool. And then we can step back and we can actually search in this system, or if you've got a pattern or you put it into AI like this, how many different breweries have reached out to me in the last 3 to 6 months? And all of a sudden we found, well, there's actually been 7 different people over the last 6 months that somewhere mentioned brewery or glycol in their request. But we're not targeting it. We don't mention it on the website. We're not leaning into it at all. So it's a quality aspect that is hidden from us. So the analogy is like you're in a dark room. There's a room on the other side with the lights on, and the door is barely cracked. There's a little light coming through. So if we see it, we can actually open that door if we want and lean into it. So the client validates it, and we go spin up keywords about glycol, chillers, brewery chiller application. We add it to the website, and all of a sudden now, guess what? They're getting 5 to 6 a month in that same theme, because it's that 57% of the journey we talked about earlier. Those people may have always been there, maybe not at the same volume, but when they're on the site, they don't read anything about brewery experience. Yeah. Glycol is an application. So they're just hitting the backspace and going to someone else who talks about it. Now all of a sudden we're talking about it. We see the pattern and we mobilize it. The business can steer into things that matter. And that really is what becomes so important. So down here in this example, everything written in this lead quality box was written by AI. So AI will look at the leads that are coming in. We write a client profile. So we work with the client, and you can do this in your own agents, however it is that you're set up, or there's a lot of ways to approach this. And we write, what does good look like? And that's been such a difficult thing for B2B organizations all these years. And it's like, I've been working with them for a long time. I could take a random lead and put it in front of my client and say, what do you think? And their intuition would be like, yeah, actually looks like it's got some legs, or terrible waste of time. And what they're doing in their mind is they may be looking at, oh, it's a Hotmail email address. Doesn't seem like it works for a business, low volume, actually looking for free consulting. Like I can read the tea leaves, waste of time. Or no, that's Boeing. That's an engineer. They're talking about volume that works. That works. And it's those little details. So now you can actually put that into a client profile and say, these are the materials. These are the quantities. These are the certifications that look like good to us. And then you can run analysis against it. That way you're not having to read every one. You can actually do an MQL, a marketing qualified standard, and scale it. So this here got an excellent. Here's the lead. Here's what they're looking for. This is prioritizing some exotic grades for this client, and they let us demo out of their account here. So they love high exotic steels. So we put those in there. He's mentioning that. And then it can look at all these things based in Texas. There's urgency. There's product scale. There's budget alignment. Does this person have authority? So it can take all that into account now, and then you can distill it and tie it back to campaign attribution, like I showed earlier. So now you can say, not does Bing versus Google get me the most quote unquote leads, but what is the quality difference? And so then you make counterintuitive decisions now when you have this, where you may actually fund the campaign that has a higher cost per click and a lower conversion rate, better quality.
Yeah.
So it's like we're always chasing this anyway. It's been really hard to distill down and scale, and that has changed. And so we're using this a lot more. Same thing with calls. So calls have always been kind of that really important, but unicorn to kind of hunt down. And so our old way of doing it was, well, let's look at the longest calls, and hopefully those are the best ones. We'll listen to them and try to pull out some notes. But you can see here, you've got calls that are the same distance, same length. This one is following up to an invoice. So it's not a lead. This one here, looking for 304H round bar, perfect. And so you can come in and we actually have then an integration with the calls, but then you've got the whole transcript.
Yeah.
So you think about the hours and hours of direct client talk time, your own customer voice, explaining what's on their mind, what's going into a decision, what their concerns are, what they're weighing in. You potentially have now thousands, tens of thousands of, written text and words summarizing that you can then go build some of the most meaningful strategies out of. So, and that's first party data. So I'm just showing this illustratively to say the B2B space, leveraging AI to review inbound phone calls, forms, setting a standard, and using it to summarize patterns and things that are top of mind for your own customers is then how you go upstream and you change your channel strategy, you optimize your campaigns differently. We talk about AI. You can use that as a rock bed for writing, thought leadership pieces that no one's talking about, because it's like surveying a market.
Yeah.
You take 50 phone calls from people that are interested in products and services and take what's top of mind and the most common questions. You can do anything with that.
Yeah.
Man, that's dude, this is phenomenal. So in this software tool, so Loop is available through any of your clients or through OuterBox, right? And
that's right.
Yeah. And is it a full-blown SaaS tool? Like anybody can, so even a non-client, could they sign up and use this tool?
Yep, exactly right. Yep. We use it primarily in conjunction with our clients, but it can be a standalone as well. And it's extremely cost effective compared to other things in the market because we see it as like a fundamental layer of how you measure success. So we use it primarily just to support the relationships overall. And this kind of insight is, again, available, but not organized, and not enough groups are using it. And really AI sentiment and quality scores have been a game changer for the last 18 months.
Yeah.
Dude, drop the mic right here, Damon. What do we didn't even know that this was coming, right? Now, Josh, you're a young guy. When you hang out with two old guys like us, like you got to be gentle, right? Like I don't know if our hearts can handle how exciting this tool is right here, Damon. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, this is a more comprehensive tool than you're going to see in just about anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Because what you just showed here on the customer data, your customer service calls, and if you could get your sales calls in this, it is just gold, absolute gold. Because as you said, right now, if I've got five salespeople that are out there on the road or out seeing customers, if I could get the conversational data from that and just understand that, how that could affect our marketing, the kind of things that we're really going after, because other than that, you're guessing.
That's right.
Yeah.
And now, how you described, going into something that may look counterintuitive because the quality of the people that you're talking to, and that with that channel pipe, whatever you want to say, it's incredible. Yeah. Cool stuff.
This is powerful. So, Josh, I'm asking for a friend. So, a question just came in. If hypothetically, if a Texas Longhorn fan is having a conversation, and what does a chatbot? Does a chatbot say bad quality, or what does it do? That
we bake in a Longhorn bias to everything that we build. Look, I'm married to a Longhorn, so we're good.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
I'm just kidding. I'm teasing.
Yeah.
So, man, dude, this isn't even a nice to have. Like, this is it's almost like I'm almost speechless. Like, it's almost like once you get into it, your clients are like, how did I live without this?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Because you realize how much guesswork there is, and people come about it honestly, but it happens all the time in discussions, either with prospects or even current clients, depending on where they sit in an organization, their experience. Right. But we hear all the time, man, I need more traffic, or like I need more clicks or whatever. And really, they're just asking for that because they think, well, I'll get more leads. So but that's how people phrase it. I need more traffic. I need more traffic because I'll get more leads. And so you remember all of this is just for leads, good leads. And I tell our team, I tell our clients all the time, like, we have fun doing this, but nobody does this just for fun. Nobody invests in Google Ads because they're bored. They do it with expectation. And this is the expectation you're always chasing. So whether you're kind of stuck on, man, I need more clicks, I need more traffic because you're thinking that'll give me leads. Maybe you're thinking I need more conversions or form fills because you think, well, that will get me leads. But then really the deepest layer of all is, did I get leads that actually mattered? Right. And then that's why you do any of this. And so then you just spend your time here instead. And again, this has been hard to get data, or even when you could get it, the only way to analyze it at scale was man hours. And that's the other thing, is that AI can bring a consistency to that. Not only scale, but the three of us are no longer subjectively rating things based on our own experience and intuition. You can set a standard and you can rate. And then we have in here where you can come back and you can actually manually say, actually, this was a poor lead.
Right.
And then it'll say, oh, okay, never again will I, recognize an international lead at the same standard. And it can learn that. And then you have it going forward. So it's really about kind of curating this knowledge base over time that you can apply.
Right. And vice versa, where, like, say if it looks like AI might think it's a mediocre lead, and you're like, hey, wait a minute, that was a really good call. Really good. So again, it's almost like you're you use the number 57% of the buying decision is made before they pick up a phone or drop an email. Right. Same thing here. Like, this is doing 50, 60, like getting us to the red zone, and maybe now the human element comes in. But what you did, you just made my life so much easier, so much more efficient. Right. You let me do the work of like 5 people, and now I can have my human touch. We're like, maybe this wasn't poor, what have you, and then tailor the messaging moving forward. Right.
That's right. So, and we get into conversations a lot, and it doesn't matter. Even if your business is doing well and you're trying to grow, or hard times are hitting you, the right businesses know that, hey, I got to invest somewhere to kind of get leads or get revenue coming back in. And so the question is always, where would you spend your next $5,000, $10,000? Where would you do that predictably? This is the only way to really do that, outside of, again, more guesswork and intuition. I can't tell you how many calls I've been on over the years where, how's business? Business is good. How are leads? Leads are good. Okay. We have no idea if that was us, you have no idea. Like, no one has any idea why that's the case. Yep. They're just kind of, let's keep doing things, and it seems to be working, but like it's just too much guesswork.
Yeah. Man, what a powerful, super exciting. I was going to ask you like what you're excited about this year. I'm not going to ask you anymore because you just showed it to us, Josh. So all right, we're going to start winding down. Again, our friend Josh from OuterBox, we strongly encourage, welcome, invite you, implore you, check out their website, connect with Josh on LinkedIn. Damon, thoughts, comments as we start winding down? What's your takeaway here with this wonderful tool at Loop Analytics?
Once again, I just another application where AI is making things better. Just the scale that we can now quantify, analyze, and utilize good data is just incredible.
Yep. So all right, Josh, I got a couple questions left for you, my friend, as we wind down. When a manufacturer, our friend, is out there and they're like, man, back to like, I feel like I'm the best kept secret. This thing is super powerful. I'm not even getting leads. I need some help. So I could use a line with a partner like OuterBox as far as like website, web presence, whether it's SEO, paid click, pay-per-click ads, what it might look like. What's that onboarding process? Like if somebody reaches out to you, kind of that first date, if you will, what's that process look like for a manufacturer out there?
Yeah. So it all starts with a good discussion, and it's really about going further, just kind of like we described here. So, hey, you want to grow. Well, what does that mean? What are your capabilities? Who are the end markets where you've got expertise? What are the materials you handle well? What kind of certifications differentiate you? What does that really look like? And I'll share this just briefly, and this is from a different kind of conversation, but it's a methodology that we have. We call it the Be Smart method. And the Be Smart method is a framework for finding intent, and particularly applied to B2B and manufacturing is very powerful. So what we'll do is kind of talk to it and say, okay, what are maybe the sizes of the stuff that you're doing? Are you doing Swiss screw machining and tiny parts? Are you doing large format parts? Like, what does that mean? What is, not just leads and not just stamping, not just machining, but where in that world do you like to exist? Then materials, not just, I want to work with stainless steel. Which alloys? Are you doing with high nickel and exotics? Do you like some of the commodity stuff? Like, what materials are good leads to you? Same thing like the AI, because we're going to build something that's more precise than not. We can always loosen it up later, but that's how we want to find them. What do engineers and technical buyers, how do they search when they're being very specific? So we look at applications, requirements. So if you're ITAR certified, AS9100, like what is it that you've got that you're certified in that we can actually help differentiate you and capability? So it starts with where have you been in the past? Where are you trying to go? And then probing to go deeper. Technically, what does that look like? And then depending on budget and goals and things, it's kind of about channel selection and funding there. It would be better to participate in less channels well than more channels poorly. So it's like if you only have a certain amount of budget, it's probably going to be starting with an analytics base like Loop, putting it in there. What's the baseline? What kind of quality and volume are we getting at all? And then paid. Paid's typically the place to start, because if in the first, say, 60, 90 days, I can start to show and measure paid search leads from these campaigns coming in that your team is qualifying and quoting, then that buys us the future to grow in the long term. And then that's really more about content, SEO, maybe the email like I talked about. Most of our clients are doing a little bit in multiple channels. So they integrate. Each channel has pros and cons. So they work really well together. So again, depending on budgets and kind of state of the website, it might be a mix. It might be a single channel start, always an analytics base, because we don't want to spend your money unless we know how we're going to measure it. So that's really what it starts with, is just a business conversation, try to go a little deeper, pull those things out, and then make a plan.
We don't want to spend your money if we can't measure it. I love it. That's another awesome drop the mic moment right there. So, all right, Josh, phenomenal. I love the Be Smart. Where can people find the Loop Analytics? Can they just Google Loop Analytics? Do they go to OuterBox? Where
go to OuterBox. Yeah, go to OuterBox, or connect with me on LinkedIn, email me. Those are places where we can start, introduce your team. So that would be the place to go and get a conversation started and see where you're at on your journey and maybe what's a good fit.
Awesome. All right. Awesome. This is phenomenal. All right, Damon, we got two last questions.
This is awesome.
This is phenomenal. I knew this was going to, as high as my expectations were, Josh, you still beat them. All right. I got two last questions for you, my friend. What's that?
These are the hard ones.
These are the hard ones. So, Josh, best business advice that you've ever been given. You're 10, 13 years out of college, maybe a younger guy, your younger self, or somebody, a newer entrepreneur. What's best business advice that you'd like to pass along?
Well, it's kind of two things. It depends on where you're at in your career. So some of the best advice I was given early on was patience. I remember when I was young in my career, feeling ambitious and like frustrated with either lack of promotions, or you're just like thinking about growth. And it's like, then as you get a little bit older and you see people younger in their careers, there's just no replacement for time and experience. Like, you just got to be on 5,000 hours of talk time and you'll get there. So patience and like enjoying the process, young career advice that I was given that really helped me just kind of settle in and enjoy and not get ahead of myself. Then, the business advice on the other end is like, as a leader, you have got to make sure that you are arbiter over the checks and balances and egos in your business to work as one team. So I've been in part of teams that have ebbed and flowed where we're out of sync, and maybe sales and marketing are doing things that ops can't fulfill, and ops is frustrated or marketing's frustrated. And I've also seen where ops has too much authority over maybe sales and marketing, where we're too risk adverse and we're hedging too hard. So really it's about kind of defining some of these standards together as a team. A lot of what we talked about here today is like those qualitative standards. Like, what does ops agree good looks like? What does sales and marketing also agree at that table? How do you get a shared definition? And how do you use it jointly in the business so you can say, these were leads that look like they meet that standard. Sales is helping close the right business. We got a sales quality metric. Ops is fulfilling their side. So I've seen too many times where those metrics aren't in place. And so it's just a bunch of gut feel, finger pointing.
Right.
Ops is doing this, sales is selling the wrong stuff. And it just, you sit there forever until someone can come in, get joint shared definitions, and then help actually apply them across. I've seen that change businesses, and that's really important. It's hard work to do. Leadership's got to do it.
Yep. Excellent. Okay. Last question for you, my friend. Hey, are you a baseball fan by any chance?
I am. Not super deep, but enough.
Who's your team?
Well, I love my Rangers.
So I was wondering if you're going to be Rangers or Houston. So here's my question for you. So Ranger, who's the nemesis of the Rangers?
Man, Oakland A's, obviously the Astros too. That was a fun series not too long ago, man. It was tough in the playoffs, and I was down here.
That was a lot of. All right, so let's go here. Let's say the Rangers are playing the dreaded Houston Astros. Maybe even like during the 2017. I won't go back then. Back in, we'll leave the Houston fans alone. So anyway, let's say the Texas Rangers are playing the Houston Astros. Okay, it's the bottom of the ninth. Texas Rangers playing Houston Astros. High score. There's a guy on second base. Manager turns on the bench and he says, "Hey, Josh, grab your helmet, grab your bat, get up to the plate, hit in the winning run. We got to get out of here, right? We got to win this game and go home. I've got dinner reservations, right?"
Yeah.
You grab your helmet, you grab your bat. On your way to the plate to go hit in the winning run to beat the dreaded Astros, what's your walk-up song?
Oh, man. That's a great question. It might be Smells Like Teen Spirit. Nirvana.
Great. Smells Like Teen Spirit, man. You're in Damon's hometown, man. You're back, that's back in your early days. So
man. That's it. I'm a drummer, and so I love any of the grunge and kind of.
Are you a drummer? That's awesome. That is awesome. Oh, very cool. Josh, David, you know what? As big of a grunge fan as I am, we've asked that question probably 500 times. We've never had Smells Like Teen Spirit. So Josh, thank you. All right, guys, we're going to wind down. How about first and foremost, if you've been hanging out for 46 minutes, how about stand up, give a big round of applause, standing ovation for our dear friend Josh.
Thank you.
Josh, this was a masterclass. Damon, what your thoughts as we close out?
Oh, just thanks for being here today, Josh. It's so incredible. Just allowing you to share with us.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys. It's been a lot of fun.
All right. So, hey, guys, we're going to wind down. Do yourselves a favor. Connect with Josh on LinkedIn. Stop by OuterBox. If that Loop Analytics, man, if it didn't pique your curiosity, I'm not sure what will, but reach out to Josh. He'd be happy to explain that more, maybe even take you through a demo. So go and, hey, we're going to wind down. We're going to wrap up. Josh, hang out with us for 1 second. And as we do yourselves a favor. Go out there and be someone's inspiration, just like our dear friend Josh. And you, too, can make the world a better place. So, guys, we will be back here soon, and we'll close out on that. Damon, take us away.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for being here today. And, Josh, thanks once again for stopping by. If you got in this late, you need to go back to the beginning and check out what Josh was talking about, all the way from his beginnings in SEO back a while into now what AI and all the other different things put together into their Loop Analytics product really does. And it is incredible for B2B industrial companies. And wow. Thank you, Josh. We'll be back again with another awesome guest.